Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Adi Achint. Today I'm here once again with Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar, who apart from having a long and illustrious career in the Indian Army, is a strategic thinker and a very interesting writer, if I may say so, sir. Welcome to the show, sir, once again. And I've had multiple conversations with you with regards various different subjects. One of the things that we decided to talk about today was multi-domain warfare. This is a term that we've heard multiple times around in various news channels and a lot of people referring to it, but I don't know how many of us, including myself, are keenly aware of the nuances of this multi-domain warfare. Thank you for
Oh,
joining me, sir.
sure. Thanks a lot, and it'll be a pleasure to talk of multi-domain warfare because that's the future. And
So,
thanks for inviting me over to your show once again.
pleasure's mine, sir. So, sir, let's start at a very broad level for a layman to understand what is multi-domain warfare and how did it actually originate into today's scenario.
Right. I think you'll have to go back in a bit into history. Uh, See, there are two colonels of the PLA who wrote a book called Unrestricted Warfare. This was around 2000, 2001. And they spoke about how you can use law, you can use public opinion, you can use many things uh, to execute warfare. And their aim was to how China can win against USA using unrestricted warfare. Anything was game. Uh, what it didn't matter what, right? And then they put it into operation. As China started putting this unrestricted warfare into operation, the Americans responded by something called multi-domain operations, MDO, multi-domain operations. It started with the American Army, then the Navy and the Air Force and all that. And then they came out with a concept called DIME. You know, DIME. The DIME is diplomatic, intelligence, military, and economics. So they enlarged the whole scope.
Hmm.
And uh, uh, the strategic thinking was all about DIME, the Western concept. And these steps were about the unrestricted warfare. And then the American Army was looking at the MDO concept, multi domain operations, not strategy or warfare. So I gave it a thought and I saw what China was doing and then conceptualized it into a model, right? And saw what other countries were also doing and came out with a model called and I termed it as the multi-domain warfare, a little higher. And the fundamental precepts are taken from the unrestricted warfare of the Chinese and the DIME concept of the Western thing. And I came out with this model. And this explains, in my view, the whole thing very logically. And one can relate to actual day-to-day happenings which are happening.
So when we talk about this multi-domain warfare, the first question I think a lot of us who are listening to this video will come out is: are we under a multi-domain warfare activity or process, or I don't know how to term it across, but are we experiencing something like that in India today?
Yeah, yes, we are. We are under multi-domain warfare. In fact, multi-domain warfare is a 24/7 scenario, 365 days. It's ceaseless.
Hmm.
It's unending. That's why it's called unrestricted and holistic warfare. Uh, I think we should put out a model which I had.
So I'd just like to share across this model, and we'll take this discussion forward.
Yeah, sure. Right. Thanks for showing this model. This is the Chinese model, and this approximates to the entire model. I mean, instead of Chinese, you could put it as American model or Indian model. It's not a this thing, but it depends on who uses it and how we use it. First, let me explain the fundamentals. You see, the multi-domain warfare. The precept is we are always in a state of war or peace. It doesn't matter, but we will go through this multi-domain warfare, and it could be done by day or night. You see on the left, the actors could be state, non-state, state-sponsored like NGOs and MNCs also,
Yes.
or as part of the civil-military fusion, it could be civilian firms also. The
Mm-hmm.
means could be hard and soft power, which is on the right side, or conventional, or even non-conventional power. Now let's look at the domains. The domains are the ones in circles. From the top, if you see air, land, and sea are the conventional domains.
Yes, sir.
But the spin-offs from these domains are the space, cyberspace, nuclear, and electromagnetic spectrum. These I call them the technology domains. Now these domains, these four, underpin all of the domains. Without these domains, no other domain works. Okay. Then you come to the traditional domains. The traditional domains are economy, diplomacy, political and ideology, energy and resources, which are in blue. Right? These also used levers of power. And then the ones in yellow. The yellow ones are the Chinese, what they call public opinion, legal, and influence operations. These are the three war strategies which they execute. The one health is the one which is recent. So we all understand this, and if you see, China has been using each domain. We can talk about domain, and I can explain to you how China has used that domain to carry out its multi-domain warfare against many countries. Okay, it is not air, land, sea. I don't have to tell.
Yes, sir.
Look at space. They've exploited space. When they showed that map of China on Pangong Tso. Yeah, and that they used the influence ops. So influence ops in space have got done. Cyber attacks, cyberspace. Oh well, there's a recent report that they have attacked the Bombay power grid.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it? And of course, the nuclear domain they're exploiting for many purposes. Okay, there's a race on in the nuclear domain for energy. It's connected with energy. Of course, the traditional nuclear domain is there, but the new thing in the nuclear thing is the energy. Okay. And then the electromagnetic spectrum. The electromagnetic spectrum is being used for many, many, many things, which includes artificial intelligence. I will put communications, what Huawei is doing is all under electromagnetic spectrum. You capture any country's electromagnetic spectrum, you can do anything with it. Data, everything. This is the fundamental. Then when you talk of energy and resources, right? Water.
Yes, sir.
Look at the way they're building a dam. They're using water as a weapon, and they used the Mekong Delta, water for the Mekong to control the lower riparian on Mekong. I'm just giving you one example, right? And they're already in a race for space-based energy. And tomorrow, whoever has got energy will be the clear power. Politics and ideology, I don't have to explain. Their communist ideology and diplomacy, wolf warriorism, the way they've threatened Australia and everything, and the way they've used economic muscle, complete. Your entire BRI is economy. Yeah, we know it. Now, these three are dangerous: public opinion, legal, and influence. Now, let's look at legal. Their legal thing is the basis of their salami slicing. So, what do? They first, if there's an existing law, they'll dispute that law. That's the first stage of salami slicing. The second stage is they'll violate that law. Now, after having violated the law, they'll create a new law. So, that entire concept, wherever it is done. And they did the same thing here also against us in Eastern Ladakh. They're doing the same thing against Taiwan and many more. The way the entire South China islands have come up, South China Sea islands have come up is through this business. Then influence ops. The way they have used influence ops to, through media and to a number of things. They influence democracies. After all, democracies have loopholes. So they use democracies to create influence. And then public opinion, creating halos. After all, till the Eastern Ladakh thing, we all thought that, PLA is invincible. Some, big army. But it was only, and the public opinion was convinced that we cannot defeat or we cannot handle PLA.
Correct, sir.
I've given you an example for each. Of course, health. The way they exploited the virus is not funny. Vaccine diplomacy. They're into a vaccine war. So everything is there. Yeah, you have any questions on this? I'm
Yes, sir. I personally see that the health factor, is this something which is relatively new that you've thought about looking at the pandemic coming across?
yes, because they've already got a health silk road, which
Mm.
was not there before the pandemic. With this health silk road, they've gone into Africa, they've gone into America, South America,
Mhm.
with their vaccines, with their mask diplomacy, PPE, everything, right? And then they start projecting that whatever they're doing is the best and others are not able to control the virus. And then they've declared a people's war against the virus and they've declared victory against the virus. All this is health. It's a
Yeah.
new domain. And we have to be aware of it because tomorrow it's going to be used against us.
I think it's already being used, sir,
Yeah, I agree with you.
to a large extent. So one of the questions, I think this chart is pretty explanatory with regards to what the various aspects are. I think the first question that will come to everybody's mind is there somebody in India who's actually thinking about these things today? Because it's only the thought process that will actually come out with a counter.
I agree with you. Fundamentally, every country has this capability of carrying out multi-domain operations, right? It is only that we have to conceptualize it, and once you conceptualize it, you see what are your strengths in each of these domains and play it. I mean, let's take health. We are playing the health games fully,
Yes, sir.
okay, and we are doing our own influence ops. It's not as if we are not doing influence ops. We are also into energy and resources. After all, if you are sending a probe to, and like Mangalyaan and Chandrayaan, you're not sending it for fun. It's for energy, space-based energy. In fact, I must tell you that India is one of the few countries which has this capability of tomorrow exploiting space-based energy, or for that matter, nuclear energy. You are the first in the thorium cycle, ahead of everyone in the thorium cycle, and our sands of Kerala are full of thorium.
Thorium, yes, sir.
Right, so if you crack that cycle, which is a matter of time, right, your energy problems get go off. So you're already using the nuclear thing, and of course you're a nuclear power. That is a traditional concept.
Sir.
So if you see, it's a mix of traditional, non-traditional, and new ideas. And tomorrow, for all you know, in this, the climate change might also figure in.
Yeah, it's coming out. You can see that.
Yeah, and the way climate change is playing out, the Arctic Circle polar cap melting and the Arctic routes opening up, you'll see another dimension of warfare coming into that. But then I think we have to do it in India. Whether we are have we conceptualized it in this manner? Not yet. Are we going to conceptualize this? The thought process is on. The fact that I have written this, I'm an Indian. I'm sure someone will pick it up and start thinking in those lines.
So what about when we talk about all these different domains and we talk about war and peace on the same side in this model that you've shown, and of course the time of the day to my mind is irrelevant in terms of this larger spectrum of warfare that the Chinese would adapt onto us. Interimly, when we see a disengagement happening right now, one of the biggest things that we're going to see, to my mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, so is this kind of warfare going up in a larger scale. The rhetoric would increase and they would try and push us into a corner in the worldwide domain wherever they can. So, do you think that is what is going to be expected in the next 3 to 6 months a year?
Yeah, look, every domain is operating. If today they're not going to operate the land, air, and sea domain, or they're not successful there, they'll start somewhere else. I mean, let's be very clear. It might be health. They might hit your pharma industry tomorrow. Right? Definitely, the psychological operations are already on. Public opinion is already on. Right? So, we should expect them to do anything everywhere. They already started, they're grudgingly accepting that our health domain is strong, our vaccines are strong and all that. Right? They're realizing it. It is not as if they don't realize it. Right? So, but let's expect that they will not let go. and they will always open a new domain. And the complementarity, like uh, that report on the cyber attack on Mumbai, we don't know whether it's right or wrong. Okay, exactly, but the fact that they tried is there,
Or it may just be
and
an
they'll try
influence
to.
operation and putting us into a
Yeah, yeah, they'll do it, and they will try. There are also some news that Airtel has given a contract to Huawei and all that. So these are on. I mean, let's not have any doubts about it. They
so
are. They will come back to you and say, join RCEP. They will, right, let some time pass. They'll open new fronts.
they're already talking about the SARC summit and all that.
Yeah, they'll do that. They will.
So there are, I mean, I
And
could,
if not, now it could be political. Politically, they might, undermine Nepal. They'll undermine Myanmar. They're already there. There's an issue somewhere or the other. They're already spoiling your politics in Sri Lanka.
Hmm.
East Terminal not being given to India, and one is going to China.
China.
So things are on. Why you think Imran Khan went there for fun? It might be sponsored trip by China to send Imran Khan to Sri Lanka. So let's not have any doubts on this. Diplomacy, everything is on. Yeah.
So basically, it's basic. It's a war on all fronts,
Yes, it's a war
and with
on.
no
That's
holds
why they
barred.
called it. That's why they called it unrestricted. They don't call it multi-domain warfare. They don't put all these monikers.
Hmm.
Multi-domain warfare. The way I have put it, and I've conceptualized it. What they call it is unrestricted warfare.
So everything is on the table.
Or everything is on the table. Nothing is out.
So I think another question which will come into everybody's mind is our other neighbor on the other side of the border is Pakistan. How far are they've been successful with regards to unrestricted or multi-domain warfare against India, and how would you term their entire operations?
Well, multi-domain operations every country can carry out based on their capability. It is based on their capability that their domains will come out. Obviously, Pakistan doesn't have space as a domain. They don't have health as a domain. They don't have economy as a domain, and their energy and resources is no domain. If you take those out, and you'll. In fact, I have a model for the Pakistanis also. Can we? Yeah. Thanks a lot. This is the Pakistani model. If you look at it, obviously they don't have health. Health is not there. They don't have their economy is in the dumps, so that's been taken off. They don't have space. They really don't have a space program. That's been off. But the rest are all there. They're using cyberspace. They're using nuclear. I mean, we all know how they use their nuclear domain with a gun to their head. They've been doing nuclear blackmail from ever since we know, right? They're using the electronic spectrum marvelously. I mean, let's not have any doubts about it. Their social media, their ISPR, their jihadi terrorist outfits. Everyone uses this.
Yes, sir.
There's no doubt. Their politics and ideology, total radical Islam is their ideology, and their politics, the way they've exported it to Kashmir, they use it. I mean, let's not have any doubt. And diplomacy, whether it's in UN or they use it against us uh, with China, and and or they put a wedge between us and USA, or they do their utmost to ensure that USA doesn't support us. All this is there. I mean, now as far as influence, legal and public opinion is concerned, they're masters it.
Yes.
And they do this in conjunction with China. And in all these domains, you'll see that somewhere or other the Chinese hand will be there. The thing is, this multi-domain warfare is what each country can put on the table, and what cards each country has, and how it can play. Pakistan has lesser cards, so it will play with lesser cards. But in the cards which it has, it is lethal, and it's not necessary that you're a full bandwidth player. You could play little, but play hard.
Sir.
You can evolve a bad thing but big powers will naturally be full spectrum, models.
Yes, sir. So, thank you for explaining that. What I see in the Pakistani model, of course, we see the imprints of the Pakistanis in every large protest, which has become a fashion of the season, if I may put it that way, today. One can't resist the thought that this is their effort in terms of multi-domain warfare. Both of these nations have one thing in common, so they've got their militaries pretty strong in their positions and stuff like that. In India, that's not the case. You've got a political environment and then there's a military environment, which is a whole other thing. What I'm trying to say, and you mentioned this in one of your explanations, is that the democracies have a huge gap that these guys are using to their benefit. Americans also fell for it, and we can see various examples. What do you think India should do in the near future? I'm talking about immediate future because we are in the midst of this. Previously, it was Pakistan more, China on a hidden front. Today, we can see the Chinese and the Pakistanis both doing various different things as per the model that you've created. One can actually see. What do we do now?
Look, we have to be clear about one issue. In this multi-domain warfare, both the fronts will be active 24 by 7. Yeah, some of the domains, the more violent domains, might not be totally active together, but the others you must expect: diplomacy, ideology, public opinion, lawfare. All this will be against you totally. One. Number two, as you see, one of the things if you saw in that model, every domain is connected with the other.
Mm.
Okay. Ultimately, any form of warfare, anything you do will come back to your basic three domains of land, sea, and air. I mean, it has to come back, right? Or the land, air, sea, and air will have an impact on the other domains. They are interconnected and interrelated. So, what one sees and what one can see is there's a requirement for a greater fusion on two levels. One, what the Chinese and the Americans call the civil military fusion or military civil fusion, depend. So that has to come about.
Mm.
The second, if you know, which we will have to be very clear about, is the politico military fusion. Democracies have a problem, right? In this, see, autocracies like China and Pakistan, okay, it's the army or a dictator like Xi Jinping. Everything is concentrated in one man, so they have no dichotomy of which lever to pull when. But in democracies, there's a problem. So, and the only democracy which has circumvented this very well is the American democracy. They've, if you look at it, a lot of retired three-star generals and all who are part of the government, this government and the previous government. After all, the present defense secretary is a retired three-star general.
Yes.
He was a retired theatre commander, right? And plus, a whole lot of veterans are there in their politics and all that. They have a different ethos. But unfortunately, in our country, we don't have that.
Sir, I think this particular topic, the politico-military fusion, deserves another round of a discussion between both of us. And I'd like to, request you for some more time for that. I have a last question before we close this particular session, sir. This is a new spectrum altogether. And this is something where we are talking about Pakistan and China currently. We can also see some games being played, if I may use the word games very loosely. We are Canada, we are the United Kingdom, we have many other countries against us. The main thing which comes to one's mind is in such a scenario when we are talking about pretty much everybody being after you and after the weakness that they can find. How is it that a country should be able to politically or militarily be strong enough to actually stand up and face this music?
See, it's like this. There's certain countries, and India's rise is not acceptable to certain thought processes. That's a fundamental problem. That's why people are putting. Of course, it's not acceptable to China and Pakistan in any case, but I think psychologically, the Western hemisphere or the Westerners are not reconciled to the idea that India is rising. That's not the case in the East. We are comfortable with Japan, we are comfortable with South Korea, we are comfortable with ASEAN, where we have better cultural links and historical links. That is an issue which we have to resolve. And that has to be done with better diplomacy. And well, look, you have to look at a better fusion between your politics, your military, your diplomacy, and your economy, and put it all together.
It's a whole work in progress, and
That's a work in progress.
It's not a switch that one can flip and get it.
It's not a
like everything else.
I think, like you said, that's a whole discussion which we can have later.
As I said, I think all of us, all of the people that are going to view this video, I'd request you all to, be sweating for the next one, because it's going to be a little interesting joining this particular topic to the next. How the politics and military of a country can be together. I think the general already gave some idea as to what should be looked at. But I think there's a lot that we can speak about, and there's a lot which is happening in the country today that all of us will benefit from understanding. Thank you so much for joining me today, sir, and giving us this brief of, I think, a very simple model, but just because of the name, it has become a very complicated thing for a lot of us to understand. But the model that you've made is clarified the entire thing. I think all of us would be able to generate examples in our mind with regards to each domain that you've mentioned. It's not going to be that difficult. There is enough news in the networks to find peculiar examples in the recent past with all these things.
Yeah, the model is simple, but the phenomenon is complex.
Yes, absolutely, sir.
Right, and thanks a lot for having me on the show. It was a great conversation on a new topic.